right, what's up, y'all, and welcome to Teaching Tuesday. That was a little preview of coming attractions in terms of what we're going to get into today. Not really the riff, but more specifically the voicing. Today we're going to talk about altered chords. We just did a big series on the essential chords you must know to play jazz to get through some standards, but we didn't really talk about altered chords because it's kind of its own category because there's so much to get into. So we are going to be covering altered chords with a 6th string root and a 5th string root this week, both in the key of C. So let's start right now on the 3rd fret on this C right here. And all these chords are going to have like a low C in the bass. So we're not going to get into any like fancier rootless voicings. So these are kind of like still fairly basic. So number 1. So we last few times we talked about the C9 chord. So basically we're going to take this 9 which is on the 2nd string, and we're going to flat it. So now you have a C7 flat 9. So actually, this is probably the most common chord that you're going to use. I've talked about this in some other videos, but like 75% of the time when you have a 2-5-1 or even a 5-1 in jazz, at least in like a post-bebop context, you're going to want a flat 9, or at least not a natural 9. So flat 9 is great. This voicing is really great to know for that. It really fits into like this progression really well. Just like a 2-5-1 in the key of F. See my best 2-5-1 voicings if you need to slow that down. But yeah, let's not get too fixated on that. So the next most common alteration you're gonna have is, or at least in this kind of like voicing setup, is going to be a sharp 9. Okay, so you have a flat 9, which is going to be this D flat here, and then the sharp 9 is going to be this, D sharp or whatever you want to call it here. Okay, it's the Hendrix chord, right? Except we're going to do it in C. Okay. All right, so those are kind of our very basic ones. Now we're gonna start to dive into some 5-note voicing. So we're basically gonna add the 1st string. So basically, we have 2 different notes that we can work with here. One of them is the flat 13, which is gonna be this A flat here on the 1st string, and the other one is a sharp 11. So that's gonna be the 2nd fret on the 1st string. Okay, so we can kind of mix and match that flat 9 with the flat 13 and the sharp 11. So let's just take the flat 9 first. So we can take this flat 9 chord and we can add that flat 13. So we're gonna add that pinky. So you have to bar here. I mean, you kind of had to anyway, so. And then we're gonna add that. So we're kind of dealing with a very altered sound. Not to get too into the weeds here, but there's like kind of a sound which is basically implies all the alterations possible. So you have flat 9, sharp 9, flat 13, sharp 11. And so these 4 voicings are kind of in that general sound. So and sometimes it's just written like C7 alt or something like that. Okay. So we have flat 9, flat 13, and then we can have flat 9, sharp 11. And so that's going to be a real big bar here. And now you're just adding this F sharp on the top, 2nd fret, 1st string. Okay, now we're going to mix and match, but with the sharp 9 on the 2nd string. So we have the sharp 9, and then we're going to have the flat 13. So we got this E flat and the A flat. And that's actually probably like if you were to say like play an altered voicing, that'd probably be my favorite one. And it's kind of like the most, maybe the most common. It's also very like fits well on the fingers. It's pretty easy to play. Okay, and then we can also take the sharp 9 and the sharp 11. And then we have that. I like that sound a lot too. All right, so that's gonna do it for us on the 5th string. Of course, there's a lot more that we could do, but we're just gonna leave it there for simplicity's sake. I could go on for hours with this video and a lot of other videos, so it's always kind of tough to tailor it down to what you guys actually need to know. Okay, so cool. So now we're gonna jump up to the 8th fret here. So we're gonna jump up to C on the 6th string. So we did go over the 13 chord in terms of our variations. And we did do the sharp 11, but we're gonna, yeah, so okay, so let's start with this 13. We have C, B flat, E, and A. So first we're gonna just take this 13 and flat it. So we have a flat 13, right? C7 flat 13, so now we have an A flat instead of an A natural. Cool, so that's probably the easiest one. It's only gonna get a little more complicated from there. Okay, now we're gonna kind of take up a little bit of a different shape here. So we're gonna go like root 7th, and then we're gonna go flat 9 here. So that's gonna be C, B flat, and then D flat, and then we're gonna grab an E on the 2nd string. So that's a C7 flat 9, kind of the same sound as that, but just the same notes too, just voiced differently. That's a really nice voicing. And then here's a voicing that we didn't really get to on the 5th string. So we're gonna add the 1st string, and we're gonna add the 13. So it's the 5th fret on the 1st string. And that's the voicing that I started out the video with. It was just a C13 flat 9. It's a really nice voicing, used a lot in ballads, maybe as like a cadenza. I've talked about this voicing in this chord before. Okay, cool. So then from there, we got, let's see, 2 more. Okay. So now these next 2 voicings are not really going to be like, they're going to be slightly less functional because they're not going to have thirds in them. So we're going to have a C7 flat 9 without a third. Not my favorite, but it works nicely, especially in some certain contexts. So we have C, B flat, and then we're gonna have that flat 9. So it's like that same formula we started with, but then with a 5th on the top. Now this works in a few different contexts. A lot, I would say probably the best is like a minor 2-5-1. You know, something like that. You can see my 2-5-1 videos for more on that. Okay, so we have C, B flat, D flat, and G. And now we're gonna take the G down a half step. Okay, so now we have, it's basically like an F sharp triad over a C, with the C in the bass. Again, no third here, so it's a little kind of funky in that way. But yeah, so we have C, B flat, D flat, and G flat, you know, also known as a C7 flat 9 sharp 11, right? But without the third. Okay, yeah, and then like I said, we went over the sharp 11 last time. Same thing with the on the 5th string. So yeah, there's a lot of theory going on here, but I'm talking about more altered sounds in this video specifically. So yeah, that'll kind of, that's more than you need to know to get through standards. I mean, you can really do it with just the voicings that I talked about in the last 4 videos, and you know, even less than that if you want to watch like 6 chords you need to know or something like that. But yeah, this will definitely like spice up your chords. make it so you can really get all the sounds in the tunes that you're playing instead of just kind of like doing something that's passable. This is, once you get these voicings, you can really actually get to the crux, the meat of the sound that you're looking for in, most standards and most tunes in general. But yeah, thanks guys for tuning in to another Teaching Tuesday. As always, find the PDF on the Patreon. We got chord diagrams going on. So, I think that's can be helpful for a lot of you guys, especially the ones who tell me I'm going too fast or this is too advanced or something like that. So there are PDFs on the Patreon. Otherwise, thanks guys for tuning in to another Teaching Tuesday, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday.